Trudeau to visit Cowes First Nation in Saskatchewan after discovery of up to 751 marked graves. Right. The problem with this is, quoted here, one of the chiefs of this band, and we're going to listen to him specifically here. He says that this is a known graveyard, right? We knew it was there. There's no discovery. We knew it was there. It's a graveyard, Pierre said. The fact that these graves are inside a graveyard shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Right. So, and they do a little walkthrough. Like the first 5 minutes of this clip is worth watching. It's a little bit long, but it is important. I'm going to get to an important part, and I'll show you a specific clip. Hold on. Okay, so here he's talking about the history of this area in his culture, the oral stories being passed down, talking about the graveyard, talking about it's not just children buried in this graveyard, talking about the headstones being removed by the Catholic Church in the 60s. These were not discoveries. These were rediscoveries. We knew about this. This was all in the Truth and Reconciliation Report. Here we go.
Of our elders, of our survivors, and friends of our survivors have told us stories that knew these burials were here. In 1960, there may have been marks on these graves. The Catholic Church representatives removed these headstones, and today they are unmarked graves. At this time, I'm just going to share my screen so you have a visual of what we're talking about. You're going to notice that there are flags, and I apologize, it might be a little tough to see. But this is now today on Cowes First Nation, and this is what we call today our community gravesite. It became our community gravesite after the 1970s, when the residential school was stopped, overseen by the Roman Catholic Church and the Archdiocese. We also wanted to show you a little more of a visual from a drone perspective. Of the 751 hits, the machine has a 10 to 15% error percentage. So we will only go by the hits that we have of 751, but we do know there's at least 600. You're going to notice that they are in proper order. These that lay here are 1 meter by 1 meter apart in some cases. We cannot affirm that they are all children, but there are oral stories that there are adults in this gravesite as well, because it was the Roman Catholic Church that overseen this gravesite. Some may have went to the church and from our local towns, and they could have been buried here as well.
There we go. So I think that having a little walk through the gravesite is very helpful and gives context to the whole situation. It is right next to a graveyard, and having the Roman Catholic Church remove the markers, you'd have to find context for that. I don't know what the context is, but I'm sure that there was a reason. Maybe there was some kind of, why would they do that in the 60s when the government was going to take over in the 70s, right? Like, I'm sure that there's some kind of political context there. Regardless of that, this is a very different story than what the media is spinning, in my opinion. And I think that it is irresponsible of our media to continue spinning this fantasy that they're spinning, because that's what it is. It's very, very damaging. And we'll talk about, I'll show you interviews with residential school survivors we'll get there in just a minute. We're almost done. The residential schools stories are stoking attacks on churches across Canada. And that's not what First Nations people want. And they speak out against it at the end of this segment. But Jason Kenney notes, another appalling arson attack on an Alberta church. The Alliance house of prayer has congregations of Vietnamese and Filipino Canadians. Many of the Vietnamese came here as refugees. These acts of hatred targeting the diverse Canadian community, or Christian, community must end. And so we're going to hear an interview with somebody from that congregation before the end of this segment. A reporter just asked Trudeau if the burning of churches was a hate crime. Trudeau ducked the question. He's a traitor to law and order. Why would we tolerate this blatant ignorance? Indeed, I agree. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has issued a highly equivocal denunciation of the wave of church arsonists and statue smashing sweeping Canada, calling the attacks unacceptable, but defending the anger fueling them as fully understandable. But he shouldn't be, right? Arson and vandalism are not crimes that are equivalent with historical I can't even remember what the word is for it. The left has a specific word for it. Generational trauma, is that it? Generational trauma. So the cure to generational trauma is to to commit arson and vandalism. Is that what Justin Trudeau is trying to say? Like, I understand why you would do this. No, there is no reason for this. There is absolutely no calling for this other than to be divisive and driving a wedge in Canada. And Trudeau is doing that expertly, by the way. That is the purpose of this. Here is the Vietnamese refugee saying he no longer feels safe in Canada after anti-West lunatics burned down his church. So here's the clip.
As many other churches were on fire too, not only our church. So I just worry that because we are refugee Vietnamese, we come from Vietnam, escape Vietnam to come here to get more freedom to live, and we think that it is a good country. And now it happened in our church. We just passed the COVID, we come back, stop live stream, and we must serve it offline the first day, and then it happened like this, and we think that maybe it's not safe to be here in Canada compared to Vietnam.
Maybe it's not safe to be here in Canada compared to Vietnam, where we came from. Wow, right? I mean, it seems like Trudeau's stoking this. It doesn't seem like he's trying to make it better, right? Here is a group of residential school survivors in Vancouver is calling for national healing and an immediate end to the burning of churches. Here's just a little clip of that.
Because it's not going to bring back anybody.
A group of residential school survivors and their family members are calling on an end to the arson attacks against Catholic churches. This follows the discovery of more unmarked graves at former residential schools. The group points out these hostile acts are spreading. A street ministry in Vancouver's downtown east side was threatened and verbally attacked.
We do not spread hate. We love people. We do not destroy other people's places of religion. We're asking for people who are setting these fires to stop now.
It's caused other bands to step up security. There's been no direct threat. With the Musqueam Indian ban, Vancouver police set up this...
Pause the wrong thing. There is, and I don't want to get into because I feel like it's getting away from the core of the message, right? Like, instead of talking about the issue at hand, they start talking about security, right? And no, that's not where that should go. But here is that person again talking about the "burn it all down" comment from Harsha Walia, and I thought this was very interesting because, well, it's very interesting. Here is that video, and
This morning I had a conversation with Harshawali about what she had said, and she claimed that she'd been misquoted, and there's a right-wing newspaper said that. I accepted whether it's an excuse or not. I accepted what she had to say. We had a conversation about it, and I explained to her that not all the churches, not all the denominations were involved in residential school. So when she says burn them all down, that means a Pentecostal church. That means the Salvation Army Church, which is doing amazing work in Canada and had nothing to do with residential school. So we had to talk about how this was actually going to affect the relations between Indigenous people and Canadians, and how as Indigenous people we don't recommend people to destroy places of worship. And so she said she thanked me for that teaching, and then that was it.
She claimed she was misquoted?
Yeah, Arshawali claimed to me she was misquoted and that it was taken out of context.
Okay, because in terms of the misquote, it was a tweet.
Yes, I know. I know. I basically, like I said, I've accepted what she has to offer. I'm like, okay, we'll take that at face value, whatever, right?
But saying you were misquoted in a tweet is a little bit of a stretch there, Herschelwalla, right? You know what I'm saying? Holy smoke, right? Oh, I was misquoted. It's those evil right-wing supremacists that are misquoting me in the media. It was a tweet. Right. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So I'm glad that there are people speaking out against this, and glad people are calling out the absolute nonsense. Thank you for this teaching. Right? Be calm. Be calm. It is an unbelievable insult to have, like, that is patronizing. That is talking down to somebody. That is insultingly stupid, right? And then to say that you were misquoted. Oh my goodness. Just goodness me. So thank you for your teaching. I was misquoted. I'm not going to listen to anything this is rephrasing. I'm not going to listen to anything you have to say to me, and please go away now. We're done, right? Like you don't fit into my virtue signaling pyramid here. Okay. I'm getting likes on the tweet. You don't seem to understand that.